Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Wayne County Commission to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
The board is now open for roll call. Commissioner Clemente has requested an excuse. Have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Everyone, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you. Next item, please.
Invocation.
Okay, today we will have our invocator introduced by Vice Chair Palomero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today's invocator is a man of many titles, past and present, including lector at St. Colette Catholic Church. With today's invocation, he becomes the second most frequent invocator before this body in the last 25 years, second only to former Mayor and Commission Chaplain Darcel Brown, who was also here today to witness today's proceedings. Please welcome Mr. Alan C. Helmkamp, lector.
Anytime you can get mentioned in the same sentence with my man D, that's an honor. So, good morning. From the Psalms, excuse me, from the Psalms 27, verse 1. You are the strength of my life. You are my rock, my fortress, and my protector. Therefore, whom shall I be afraid? You are my shield, my strong tower, and my stronghold. I will call to you because you are worthy to be praised. So, Father, I thank you for being my strength and my God in whom I trust. And from the Gospel of St. John 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Let us pray. Lord, we ask you for wisdom, grace, strength, and humility in the discharge of our public duties. We ask that you help us lay aside our burdens and labor in the knowledge that you are with us. We ask that you protect all those whom we serve, and especially those who are vulnerable and in need. And finally, as always, we humbly ask that you also protect, bless, and bestow peace upon our families, friends, and all our people. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Peace.
Thank you, Lector Helmkamp, for that awesome prayer. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Reading, correcting, and approval of the journal.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydun.
Move for approval.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
Report from the chair.
Nothing today. Next item.
Unfinished business, there is none listed. We're moving to page 2 of the agenda, offering of all petitions, ordinances, resolutions, and presentations. There are none. We are moving to reports from committees. Report A is from the chair of the Committee on Economic Development, and there are 4 items listed.
And again, for our listening audience that may be on Zoom, on the telephone, we operate in committees where items are brought to the committees and thoroughly vetted, questions asked, and they come to the full board meeting for final disposition. For the Committee on Economic Development, Commissioner Haydos. Your report, please, sir. You're on, Commissioner. Commissioner Haydos. Economic Development.
A little bit slow today. Okay. Economic Development, I move to receive and file item 1 and 2 and approve the rest of the agenda. 3 and 4. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and supported for the Economic Development Report, receive and file items 1 and 2, and approval of items 3 and 4. Any discussion, Commissioner Khalil?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 3, on the disposal of scrap tires. I see this comes to a little differently than it has in the past. The county used to have, and I don't know if it still exists, when people did neighborhood cleanups, the county would bring out a dumpster and the neighborhood cleanup would throw the scrap tires in there and the county would haul it away. This looks to be a little bit different. So I'd kind of like to know the status of scrap tires and what the county is doing to support neighborhood cleanups. Is that still happening?
Good morning.
Good morning, Commission. Hassan Sheikh, Director of Economic Development. As a whole, in regards to the countywide cleanup of tires, we haven't done any research in terms of the countywide issue of tires, but that is an interesting point, duly noted and heard, and we'll see what we can do. Darcy Martin is here, and she will give you a little bit of more information in regards to this specific item with Highland Park.
Well, my question's not on this specific item. I see how this is done. But what about the county program? Does that still exist?
We'll take a look. I'll take a look into it and see what's the status on that and how that works for you.
I think at one point that was under DPS. Is that still?
Yeah, it was.
Andy or someone from
Department of
DPS?
Environment.
Good morning, Patrick Cullen, DPS Environmental Services Division. Commissioner, you're referring to the CLEAN program.
That's right.
Yes.
We still have we have an active contract for trash hauling and community cleanups that provide dumpsters to community block clubs. Pre-COVID, we also had a scrap tire cleanup element to the CLEAN program as well. Our goal is by next spring is to get a new contract for scrap tire hauling and recycling. We just have not had the resources available to put that together quite yet. But you're right. Prior to COVID, we would run anywhere from 10 to 12 scrap tire cleanups, partnering with local communities. We're going to get back to that next spring.
Because I knew contract for that got to be difficult at one point.
It did, yeah.
So can I still direct people to the website to fill out a Project Clean
Absolutely.
application?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. He leaves. Oh, Pat, stay up. I think we have some more questions for you. Commissioner Clark Coleman?
Yes, I too have a question on the dumpster program.
Mhm.
Because I know that it was quite popular in my district.
Yes.
When certain the neighborhood groups would like to clean up an area.
Mhm.
And we would provide, and then we could call somebody over at your place.
Correct.
And you would bring a dumpster out.
Yep.
And then once it was filled, you come back and pick it up.
Mhm.
And I've also had requests for that this year. So am I to understand that, is that program still going on or no?
It is, yes.
It is?
The commission authorized that contract a couple of months ago, so it is active right now.
Was it active? Did it just start or?
It started fairly recently. We started later this spring than we had hoped to.
Okay, so how do we get in touch with the
I will
person?
make sure I will get that information out so all the commissioners have it available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I know that my community person used to call someone over there
Yes,
and make arrangements
Yep.
for it.
I'll make sure that we get in touch with your staff.
Please do.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure all the commissioners have that same information.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scott, then Commissioner Baker McCormick, then Commissioner Kinlock.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Understood, Commissioner.
I need it soon too.
Got you.
Thank you.
Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a different matter, so thank you. I don't know if anyone else had
Kinlock,
A
did you have a
question.
question for Mr.?
for
Okay.
Cullen. Okay. So my question is in reference to the SIMCA program, SIMCA.
This is item number
Yes.
4, Commissioner.
No, this isn't on here, but I asked about when we would have a report on the SIMCA Workforce Development Program. Do you have any information on that yet? Number of participants, any information? I'd like to.
Absolutely. Again, good morning. Hassan Sheikh, Director of Economic Development. I appreciate the question. So where we're at in regards to the process of moving that SEMCA, the Workforce Development Program, forward right now, the SEMCA is in process of a negotiation process with vendors that have bid to become potential vendors. So that is the next step of the process. We are now moving forward, and I'll continue to update you once we get to the point of where we can activate the program. But we are moving forward in terms of now negotiations with vendors through SEMCA. SEMCA's handling that, and in regards to taking the actual numbers of folks that will be able to service one, and as well as what the price per participant will be as well, and a few other factors as well.
So we have not started the program yet.
The one portion of the program that's starting to move forward is the expungement portion of the program. The remainder of the program is attached to that portion of the process in regards to the negotiations. Once we can get all those vendors in, so we're looking at over the next expediting and getting that started as soon as possible, and we're looking at very soon.
Okay. Is there a way we can get information on the
Absolutely.
part that has started, which is the
Absolutely.
expungement you just
Expungement,
talked
yep.
about? Because I didn't know anything about that.
Absolutely. I'll make sure we send that out to the commission.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Commissioner Scott? That fine, Commissioner? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just ask that I be recorded as a no vote on number 4. I've had longstanding opposition to delegating authority that the commission had previously. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Haddis. Motion carries. I have Commissioner Scott as the maker of the motion on item number 3, Commissioner Anderson as a no on 4.
Thank you. And let me remind commissioners to please keep your questions to the items on the agenda. If there's items that you'd like to discuss, we can do that under remarks by members, but please keep your questions to the items on the agenda. Next item, please.
We're on report B from the Committee on Public Services. There are 13 items listed on pages 3 through 7 of the agenda.
Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move to receive and file items 1 through 3 and move approval for items 4 through 13 and have Commissioner Baydoun as the maker of the motion on number 9, Commissioner Dobb, the motion maker on number 12. And I have a little problem here because 2 commissioners want to be on the same item. So, Madam Clerk, can I have one make the motion, one be the support?
I can put them all on there.
You can put them both? Okay, so for number 6, Commissioner Haddis and Commissioner Dobb.
That fine, Commissioner Dobb? Okay. All right. Any questions on the public services report? Any questions on the 13 items on public services? Commissioner Kniezek.
I'd also like to make the motion on item 6.
Problem.
So I'll let y'all figure that out. Thank you.
6 is a popular item. Okay. All right. Any further discussion on public services? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries. I have Commissioner Baidoon as the maker of the motion on 9, Commissioner Dobb, item number 12, and Commissioners Hattis, Dobb, and Knizik, item number 6. Yes.
Clerk, next item.
We are on page 7 of the agenda, Report C from the Committee on Audit. There are 2 items listed.
Commissioner Basham?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move items 1 and 2 to receive and file.
It's moved by Commissioner Basham, supported by Commissioner Kleen. Any discussion on the 2 items on the audit report? Any discussion on the 2 items on the audit report? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, please.
We're on Report D from the Committee on Public Safety, Judiciary, and Homeland Security. There are 2 items listed.
Commissioner Clark Holman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move that we receive and file item number 1 and move approval of item number 2.
Moved by Commissioner Clark Holman, supported by Commissioner Haters. Oh, okay. Well, we'll support it by Commissioner Scott. That's okay, Commissioner Haters. Okay. Any discussion on the Public Safety Committee report? Any discussion on public safety? All right. Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Let's go to the addenda, please.
We are moving to the addenda under new business. There are 8 items listed. Item number 1 is requesting Commission approval of the recommended comprehensive executive budget.
So every year, per the charter, we receive the budget. Once we receive it, we vote on its receipt. So this is an item to receiving the budget. The first budget hearings will be on August 8th, where the CFO will give its budget, and the Marcy from our Auditor General area will give the sensitive items report. So this is receiving the budget. Is there a motion for item number 1?
Ways and Means.
Refer to Ways and Means. Commissioner Kinlock moves. Vice Chair Pro Tem Baidoon supports. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next items, and Ms. Allen, if you could come. The next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Not 8, 7. 2 through 7 are contracts, union contracts, and I'll ask Ms. Allen to kind of go over the overarching theme of these, and then we'll discuss and bring them up separately. But go ahead, Ms. Allen.
Thank you. Good morning. Janelle Allen, Chief Operating Officer with the County Executive's Office. As we all know, back in 2015, when County Executive Warren Evans first took office, the county was on the brink of bankruptcy. And at that time, drastic measures were required to avoid us from going into bankruptcy. Part of those drastic measures included renegotiating our collective bargaining agreements, our CBAs, with all of our unions. And those renegotiated contracts included significant economic sacrifices made by most of our employees. But also at that time in 2015, County Executive Evans made a promise to our staff that when the county is doing better, the county will do better for our staff. And as we also know that those dramatic measures, they have proven successful. And while the county's resources our needs, I should say, are still outweigh our resources, the county is doing better. And so in furtherance of that commitment to do better for our employees, over the last 2 years, County Executive Evans has implemented significant wage increases for most of the vast majority of our staff. And while those increases have been more significant for our staff than ever been done in the last decade, we recognize still more needs to be done. So back in May of this year, County Executive Evans hosted a meeting with all of our union leaders. And at that meeting, he thanked all of our staff for all of the sacrifices that have been made and for continuing to stick with the county through our recovery. And he recognized that a lot of our recovery has been on the backs of our staff, and that now it's time for the county to do better for our staff. So he asked our union leaders that if they would be willing to open negotiations on our contracts. I will say that because most of our contracts, except right now, the POEM agreement does not expire for another year. And so we do need union agreements to negotiate. And we asked them, though, to come to the table this time. We're going to take a very different approach. We know traditional collective bargaining means that you usually have union leaders coming in representing represented members, and then you have management. We said we're going to take a different approach this time, and we want to collaborate because we want to recognize that there's one team, Team Wayne County. So through this collaborative bargaining process, which we have all collaborated developing, we're in the room as one team. There are no labels, there are no sides. There's just one team here to do the best we can for our residents and to do the best we can for our employees. So instead of sitting across the table exchanging proposals, what we're doing is first identifying what are the issues that are preventing us from actually providing the best services we can. What are the issues that are preventing us in our day-to-day operations? And a lot of that we do know pertains to compensation, but the other also pertains to operations, how we operate. We want our employees to feel valued, and valued not just in paying competitive wages, but also in how we treat each other. And so a lot of our issues, I would tell you, I'm very pleased to say that we have had a number of meetings, these collaborative bargaining meetings with our various unions, and it's been very productive. I will say, though, I know that a number of our staff, though, are still, they're kind of eager and anxious, but when do we start talking about money? And we are now. But again, instead of coming in with proposals, saying that here's 5%, 3%, what we're saying is, let's go look at who are our real competitors. And it's not one size fits all. We do know that we compete with some of our other counties, but some of our industries, we compete with the private sector, especially following this great resignation era. So what we're doing, the other thing is we're not just having leaders at the table. We're inviting staff from all levels of our organization, those who absolutely know what needs to be done at the table to help develop what are our jobs. What should they be like today? We have realized that a lot of our job descriptions are very outdated and they don't reflect the current needs of the county. So we are starting with some areas, making sure the jobs are updated. So then when we go look at our competitors, we're comparing apples to apples. Once we identify that, and we're looking at what are the wages, what are competitive wages? The other thing that I have announced in these meetings, I think no one will disagree, that given that Wayne County is the largest county in the state, the most diverse, the most complex, our staff should be paid the highest if you compare us to our competitors. The problem is that our needs far exceed our resources. When you're competing with one of the most affluent or the most affluent county, that means the county can't always afford to do that. But what we're doing through this process is say, but what's the best we can do? It is not about one side trying to get as much as possible and another trying to give as little to get an agreement. It's about what is the best we can do for our employees. And we're doing this collaboratively. And I do know that an agreement with the Government Bar Association has been submitted to the commission to show that these things are moving. But we are at that. I'll tell you, this process, I believe, we've gotten very positive feedback. Again, people are now waiting, though, but what is the bottom line? And while economics is a lot of the conversation, others are about operations as well. And we've been able to address, right in these meetings, sometimes issues that are going on right that day because we have the right people in the room. The other thing is we're getting employees who are feeling that their voices are being heard. Another different approach here. So while I clearly don't want to oversell what we're doing, I do think, though, this process is helping us change our culture about our employees feeling very valued and being engaged. and being heard. So we'll absolutely be providing updates, especially as we expect to start having additional agreements coming to you with other changes. But some of the things we're discussing do not impact collective bargaining agreements. So they do not require changes. One thing that has come up consistently is about our hiring process. It takes too long. So we are collaborating on that. We're talking about benefits. Because benefits is one area that one size must fit all. We're going to have a cross-union group that's looking at, now, what are the issues and what are the options? So again, we talk about, let's say, wages and benefits. We're saying, can we consider this? We're going to our finance team to get things costed out. So at least we can look at, is this affordable? Because everyone does agree and has bought into whatever we do, we cannot jeopardize the county's financial current stability. And that doesn't just mean for today, it means for the future as well. With that, the county executive did announce at this meeting back in May that there were some immediate benefit improvements that he would like to implement. And then we needed the unions to agree to that. These are they're being offered to all of our unions. The contracts before you this morning are with the ASME supervisors, GAA General Fund, GAA Professional Nurses Unit 1, and GAA Professional Nurses Unit 2, dietitian and nutritionist, and the ASME Local 3317. The other ones that we do expect to be coming forward with, either in an overall collective bargaining agreement or a separate MOU, will be with the ASME non-supervisors. I understand that they are presenting it for ratification next week. The Michigan Building and Construction Trades Council, we've spoken with them. They had a couple of questions about the language. They said they do intend on signing. The Government Bar Association, it is in the agreement that's will be coming before you, and with POEM, this will be presented to them as well. The other is the operating engineers. They have different benefit package, so it really didn't pertain to them. So the agreements before you today include 3 changes, and we'll say improvement. One is reducing the employee premiums for healthcare from 25% to 20%. The other is increasing the annual wage bonus, which is designed to help offset the cost of deductibles. It is increasing for a single plan, $100. So instead of $650, it would go to $750. For a 2-person plan, it is increasing by $150. We're going from $1,000 to $1,150. And for a family plan, increasing by $200, going from either $1,200 or $1,300 to $1,400 or $1,500. So with that, we do ask for your support for these. And again, we will definitely be keeping you updated and expect to be bringing more changes that are for the betterment for our staff. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Allen. And also mention about the parking situation.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. That is the third one too, about employer paid parking. As we know, some of our employees do not pay for parking, but a lot of our employees, especially those who work in the downtown area, do pay. So the agreement also includes employer paid parking. Now that's one area where one size does not fit all. For our employees who work in the Guardian building, it's going to be an easy fix. They pay, I believe, $60 a month. That's going to stop being deducted from their paychecks. But for those who work in buildings like 400 Monroe, Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, before they move to the CJC, they park in different areas. So we are dealing with on a case-by-case basis. And some of them may end up getting more a monthly stipend based upon what is the average cost in that area. And I do believe for the GBA, for the attorneys who work with the prosecutor's office, and it would also apply to the Corporation Council attorneys, they may be getting a monthly stipend. But we are agreeing with each group will be determining what is best for their employees.
Thank you
for
so
bringing that
much.
to my
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the innovative approach to the collaborative bargaining. I think that's something different, something new, obviously, and looks like it's working well, having everyone at the table, understanding this one Wayne County, not just this unit, that unit, and the other unit. So thank you for that. I have a couple of questions. First is Commissioner Clark Coleman.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Janelle, for your report. Well, first of all, on the parking, what's going to be the practice for parking at the new CJC? Like, Community.
The criminal justice complex, yes. Matter of fact, there will be employer paid parking. I don't know if there's, James, Aaron can address them with the specifics.
Don't you leave them.
Okay.
Through the chair, Aaron Wagner, Chief Administrative Officer. So CJC, we are in the process of constructing lots, surface lots around the facility. It will be free parking for employees.
Hey, that's it. Good news. That's good news.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, so Janelle, I just want you to go over that benefit agreement again. The healthcare. Kind of break that down a little bit better. I mean, I'm sure you did a great job, but maybe I missed something. So something go from 25 to 20.
Yes.
And that's paying.
So consider that as each employee's premium. They're paid 25% of the cost. Now that will be reduced to pay 20% of the cost, and the county will pay 80% instead of 25/75.
Oh, okay, so it changes from 25/75 to 20/80.
Correct.
Okay, that's easy for me to understand. To 20/80. Okay, and what was the other thing that you mentioned?
The other is what is called an annual wage bonus that represented employees receive. And that wage bonus is really designed to help offset the upfront deductibles that employees have to pay who have a high deductible plan. So at the beginning of each calendar year, employees who have a single plan for one person, they were receiving a $650 wage bonus. That is going to $750. So right now, they've already received the $650. They're going to receive an extra $100. But in January, then they'll get a full $750.
And that's to be used to offset
the deductibles. Exactly.
Okay.
And then someone who has a two-person plan, they currently get a $1,000 wage bonus. They're going to go up to $1,150. And someone with a family plan with more than two people, they're going to go either from $1,200 to $1,400 or $1,300 to $1,500. They're going to get a $200 increase. And again, right now in this calendar year, they're just going to get the differential because they've already received the $650 or $1,000 or $1,200 or $1,300. And then in January, they'll get the full bonus. And we get this at the beginning of the year, again, because that's when deductibles reset.
Now, does that come in with their salary or?
Yeah, it's listed as a separate item on our paychecks, yes.
Do you have to take deductibles out of that, or is that tax?
So the thing is, if you have a high deductible plan, you can have a health savings account. And what we really do encourage our staff is to have that money deposited in the health savings account because tax-free.
Yeah,
you'll get the entire amount. But if you choose to take it in cash in your paycheck, that's when you're taxed. So that's something we've realized too, that we really want to do a far better job at educating our staff about the benefits of using the health savings account because that's tax-free. And when it's paid, it's still tax-free.
Question, tax-free. If you use the health savings, and you can always pull from that health savings for anything that you want to have done.
That's an approved medical expense,
your
yes.
deductibles too, can't you?
I'm sorry?
Can't you pull from that for deductibles?
Absolutely. That's exactly where, and in fact,
anything.
We're saying they even have a way where there's an app that you can have even on your phone and you can immediately start paying bills directly from your HSA. They even said they even have a way where the HSA, that an invoice can go directly to who's administering the HSA and have that check sent directly to your healthcare provider.
That's a good thing because to have that tax-free, you get at least probably a couple $100 more by having it go into the HSA plan.
Exactly. Yes.
And then you can pull from it.
Yes.
you can just pay your bills from it.
That's exactly right. We have learned too that just about 40% of our staff actually use the HSA. We think that is because
They don't
of
know.
lack of understanding. And through these meetings we even had a presentation yesterday with our GAA General Fund group, with our benefits group, and really showing the difference of if you do take it in cash versus putting in your HSA, there's a huge difference. And we said we need to do a better job of educating, but also putting it in easy to understand terms and not buried in a lot of information. So that's something coming out of our collaborative bargaining meetings.
So and I totally agree with that. They've got to be educated. Because I think that once they know how it works, I'm sure that you'll get a lot more people that will opt for that. Because until you came back this time, until I asked the question, it completely went over my head. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, Commissioner Kleen.
Chair. Morning, Ms. Allen. This is a different way to go about things so we have a memorandum of agreement before us. And the verbiage says it will be a part of a collective bargaining agreement at some date in the future, as you suggested. So, first of all, who voted on the memorandum of agreement? Was that the membership of each one of these locals?
Yes,
Okay,
it did have to be ratified.
Sorry?
Yes, each one had to be ratified by the membership.
Okay, so this is going to be a separate agreement from the collective bargaining agreements for a year or two until bargaining starts up. Is that correct?
Not exactly. We're actually bargaining now. So let's just take GAA General Fund, for example. We have an MOA with them. We are dealing with a lot of other issues, which we plan ultimately, if we have to change the CBA, we plan on coming back before next year. We're hoping actually in the next couple of
Well,
months.
that's what I mean. Yeah, the
Yes.
agreements either end a year or so from now, or maybe 2 years in some cases.
Yes, but we're probably, when we come back, what we're looking at with the changes we will be implementing in addition to these benefit changes, they probably will likely also come with a contract extension.
But for now, until there is a new labor agreement, this will kind of be a standalone because it's not part of the collective bargaining agreement. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah. And all of the locals have voted on this.
at least the ones before you now.
Yeah. And
Yes,
yeah,
that
because
is
you mentioned
correct.
there's a couple others.
Yes,
Because this is unusual. Usually these things come to us as a completed contract without if I can say it this way, an intervening memorandum of understanding.
my understanding though is that there have been times when certain things have been changed, they come through by way of a MOA or MOU.
Well, I just want to make sure that it's going to be enforced. And then what it will essentially be then in bargaining is the memorandum of agreement will be one of the things on the table that they'll have to say, yeah, let's add this to the collective bargaining agreement now.
Yeah, Matthew Carmona from Labor Relations. So this, first, you're right, this is very unique in the way we're doing it. It does normally come in the fashion you just described.
Right.
But the importance of the administration was to make these changes as quickly as possible so they have a positive impact on the employees, which is why we took what is maybe somewhat of an unconventional approach. But yes, and that's why here, if you notice a couple of things to your questions, there is a paragraph in the MOA that states that by signing, the local presidents who have signed the MOA on behalf of the unions are stating that it has been ratified by their membership. So there is that line in there to cover the ratification. Yes, in many ways it would be a standalone agreement, but we also have the exhibits that show how this agreement is going to affect the CBA language. So after this, when we get into negotiations about the broader CBA, these are no longer at issue. These will be, we'll just insert these and we'll run with them. There's no need to renegotiate these.
Okay, well, I just want to get ahead of myself here because my job is to vote on contracts the way I look at my job. is to approve labor contracts after the unions have signed off on everything. So I wanted to make sure here that first of all, there was sign off, and there was some sort of a vote taken, and all the union presidents said, yeah, the membership has voted and we're good with this memorandum of agreement. And then also to make sure, well, okay, that answers my basic question. So thank you.
Yeah, and just paragraph 5, I believe it's paragraph 5 on all of them. I can just read it. If like this agreement requires ratification by the membership of the union representative's signature on this document confirms that the incident agreement was ratified by the union membership prior to signing. So I agree with you 100% and think that is obviously very important, which is why we made sure that that was.
Well, when things happen that are out of the usual, I've got questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely, of course.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just as a reminder to everyone, the union contracts, whether they're memorandums of agreement or the actual agreements, do not come before this body unless they've been ratified by their members. If they're not ratified by their members, they do not appear on our agenda. Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question, a clarifying question. You talked about wages and how we are behind our competitors. When you're looking at that, and I know there's a work group that the commission formed to look at, task force that was organized to look at wages. What I'm interested in is what that looks like, the bottom line for the budget, and how far can we go in increasing wages. We want to increase as much as we can, but what is the impact that these wages will have on the budget?
Well, let me start with saying that we cannot agree to anything if they are not affordable with our budget. So any conversation, I do want to clarify when I talked about the wages, because while we're not with our competitors on some, believe it or not, in one area, we're actually 105% of market. Believe it, we have been making some significant gains in some areas with some of our classifications. For a lot, we have not, but there are some we actually have. We're doing a lot better. But we've also, what we've announced in these meetings is that we'll come up with what should we be paying? And that's like, what's the best we should be paying for the market? But then that's going to get costed out. If we don't have the budget to pay that, we can't agree to pay that. So we're going to say, what's the most affordable? How good can we get to that ideal number? And with that said, that nothing we do can negatively impact the budget, meaning it must be within the budget.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Haydos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Janelle, and excellent report. Like always, you're very eloquent and to the point. I have the question is, you mentioned, and I was happy to hear that we're not looking and give you pay increase. We're looking what you worth, what's the other offering in the market, because it's a competitive market to be able to get qualified people to the position we need. And it looked like the CEO did excellent job on bringing the union together in negotiation. My question is, all what we offer into the union and the bargaining unit, is that going to be given to the non-union and the county, and that been figured out in the budget too, as Commissioner Baker asked, could afford those? If you could just explain something.
But with regard to benefits, absolutely, because benefits, it must be the same across the board. So that will impact everyone. We are looking though at even wages with regard to appointed staff or non-represented staff, especially when you start looking at if adjustments are being made to the staff they're managing, there are going to need to be some corresponding adjustments. So yes, we are looking at that as well.
Commissioner, of the units that are before us today, roughly how many employees does this represent? $570?
I should have added that up, yeah.
570, and our workforce is roughly 2,500, 3,000.
Well, meaning the number of positions we have, right now, we're about 2,000, but our positions wise, I believe it's about 2,700.
This is a good start, and we just have to keep on with it, and we look forward to the other units coming before us in the upcoming weeks. Hopefully we can get the Bar Association and POEM and the other ones to us as quickly as possible, working together and collaboratively to come up to some agreements. So are there any questions, any additional questions?
One last comment I'd like to make is another thing that's really happening during this process is the sharing of information. Like our employees are asking, how is the illustrative rate set? And that information is being shared. And again, if there are concepts that are being recommended, if we have the resource, we're going to cost things out and say, can we do this or not? But people will see though, as opposed to just saying, no, that's not affordable. People will see the data about, is that sustainable over time? So that's one thing too, we've gotten positive feedback just about the sharing of information.
Looking forward to those continued talks. Hopefully this won't be the end of the collaborative bargaining. This will be a practice that will continue on. If it's going well, and I'm sure it'll continue to go well, but thank you, Janelle, for leading this effort. I know you're the lead for this, so we appreciate what you're doing. And of course, Matt with Labor Relations and Donna, our HR director, we look forward to more of these coming before us.
Thank you.
Hearing no other questions, please vote. And this is voting on 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
We're moving to item number 8, requesting commission approval of amendment number 2 to a 180-day professional services contract with New Image Protective Services not to exceed $4,369,000, extending the term of the contract by 1 year, modifying the scope of services, and adding funds.
Okay. Aaron or Michelle?
Melissa.
Melissa, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Melissa Fernandez, Director of Juvenile and Youth Services. This is our request for a second amendment with New Image Protective Services. They're providing staff augmentation for our juvenile detention facility. And this amendment will extend the contract for another year and add additional funds. I would like to say that over the past 3 years, our juvenile detention facility was operating under a variance by the state of Michigan because we were not able to maintain staffing ratios. And what that meant was our young people were locked in their rooms most of the day because we could not staff that. I'm pleased to say that in May, we were able to dissolve that variance with the state of Michigan, and we are operating under our normal approved variance, staffing ratios, which means that the young people are in regular programming in the regular milieu all day, with the exception of sleeping hours. So that certainly has helped us. I'd also like to add that there's no renewal available for this contract, and we will be issuing an RFP by January.
How many staffers does this include?
So this includes the direct care staff only, and today there are 71 New Image direct care staff and 63 Wayne County direct care staff.
And you said that they're now able to have programming. What does that programming look like?
Correct. So the youth have their school. Capstone Academy is the charter school that was present a couple of months ago. They also have their groups, they have their activities. We also have partnership with our mentorship program and some therapeutic intervention and meditation and mindfulness that you'll hear about in the upcoming months.
Does this include them also going to teen wellness? Is that part of their programming?
So we are working on that. That contract will come before the committee, I believe, in the next couple of weeks so that we can provide the intensive therapeutic programming on site for kids who are waiting for long-term residential treatment.
Questions? Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the raise the age And we didn't talk about this in the committee, but I wanted to clarify. Are there any residents that are over 18?
We do have a couple of residents who are over 18.
Okay, and at what point are they moved or transferred?
So they're either waiting for adjudication in juvenile or the adult court or waiting for placement. At the age of 21 is when they can, no longer remain with us. But raise the ages for youth who have committed a first offense between the ages of 17 and 18. Some of the young people that we have that are 20 were blended sentences. So that means that they were adjudicated in juvenile court with a blended sentence, and that so they can stay in the system till 21.
So it's 21.
Right.
And are they separated from the?
Yes. So a couple of months ago, we were able to increase the footprint of our temporary site. And because of that, we are able to classify them by age. And so they are classified by age.
So they're segregated in
Correct.
Different pods?
Yes, they are in different pods.
And as far as staffing, now we're moving forward with the new contract that we have, and we have the proper staffing.
Yes, so the state,
right, currently.
correct, the state approved ratio for childcare institutions is 1 to 10. It's our hope that we increase that and beat that significantly, in our upcoming budget, and have a staffing ratio of 3 to 16, which is also in line with the federal PREA regulations.
In the past, the ratio was higher.
Correct.
Right. And we're trying to build up to get there.
Yes.
And do you see us getting there with the current contract?
I do. I also, would like to add that we have offers and staff rolling over to become county staff as well. So after a certain period, they're offered jobs with the county and they roll over to become county staff. We currently have 12 in the pipeline rolling over to become county staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. About that, I'm just going to ask about the rolling over for county staff. So that is the ultimate goal, is that these people working for this company will roll over and actually be staff of Wayne County, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and this contract goes until next year, September. So we're hopeful by that time, those persons will roll over and will be over the CJC by then. And I'm not sure if you know what the staffing requirements are going to be for that facility, but those persons from this company by that time, and we won't have a need for the company, correct?
That is correct. That is our hope.
Okay, and do you know the daily census right now?
Our census today is 161.
Ooh, went up. Okay. And what's the capacity at the new facility?
160. We are licensed for the new facility at 160. Currently at the temporary facility, we are licensed for 180.
Okay. Any additional, Commissioner Marecki?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I noticed that we're getting 50%, we're getting a 50% grant from the state. When, like Commissioner Bell said, that if the goal is to get all of our, all the workers over to county workers, will we still get those kind of grants from the state?
Yeah, so that's childcare funding, and childcare
still is,
funding is
okay.
still the 50%.
Okay, so this is actually a receive and file because this has been done. Is that correct?
No.
It's not an emergency procurement?
Through the chair, the initial contract was an emergency procurement. The amendment that's brought before you is for your.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, back to page 8, I believe.
Yes, page 8 of the agenda, upcoming meetings.
Okay. Please note the upcoming meetings for next week. If there are any changes, please let the clerk know. Next item.
Next item is testimonial resolutions and certificates of appreciation. There are 8 items listed. There are 4 items listed on your agenda and 3 items on your addenda.
Okay, and let me just say that the first item on the testimony resolutions is for Miss Victoria Ennis, that we know has completed her service with Wayne County and moved over to the airport. We're working on a date where she can come in and receive the resolution that we have signed by all commissioners. So that will be at an upcoming meeting. Any discussion on the resolutions and certificates of appreciation? There are again 4 on the agenda and 3 on the addenda. Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Next item.
We are on memoriams. There are 3 names listed on your agenda and 1 on the addenda.
Is there any discussion on the memoriams?
Chair.
Mr. Kinlock.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to recognize a resolution that will be presented this Saturday to the family of Brenda Hill. Brenda Hill was a strong community activist who spoke and fought against gun violence, having lost her own son through gun violence some years ago. She passed a couple of weeks ago, I believe, July 10th, I believe she passed. And just wanted to state for the record that our thoughts and prayers are with her family. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bigger McCormick.
I too want to send my prayers to the family of Brenda Hill. She lived in my district. I know at some point, I don't know currently where she's inserted. Okay. But at some point she lived in my district, and she was a strong advocate for gun reform, and radio host, and very, very outspoken. And she'll be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, Brenda Hill was absolutely an activist in our community. And I think her death was sudden, and we want to keep her family in our prayers during this difficult time. And thank you for doing the memoriam. I think it's signed by all commissioners. And again, we want to continue to keep Amika and Janelle in our prayers in the loss of their fathers. We did memoriams on our last meeting. So Ms. Allen, your family is still in our prayers during this difficult time. If you need anything from us, please let us know. Thank you. Everyone, please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you so much. Next item, please.
Public comments.
Okay, 2 minutes. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to give public comments at this time? Anyone on Zoom? You can unmute the people on Zoom. Any hands for Zoom? Anyone on the telephone? Anyone in chambers? Any emails? Okay.
This is from Anthony Plessia. Dear Commissioners, the World Health Organization is still negotiating amendments to the international health regulations that are intended to cede control of national, state, and local pandemic measures to itself. For example, it changes the IHR regulations from non-binding to mandatory instructions that member states undertake to follow and implement. It also sets up surveillance processes in all states and enables the WHO to share country data without consent. Will you refuse to enforce this illegal power grab? The Biden administration wants to proclaim that they will supersede local and state laws, but the reality is these amendments violate our Constitution. For example, the aforementioned surveillance processes violate the Fourth Amendment. Alexander Hamilton, who was an advocate for a strong federal government, wrote in Federalist Number 33 that lower level governments have a right to treat acts by the federal government that are not pursuant to the Constitution as acts of usurpation. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Next item, please.
Reconsiderations,
There are none.
remarks by members.
Remarks by members, I'll start. Let me just say that about 10 days ago, 4 of us attended the National Association of Counties conference in Texas. It was a great, very informative conference as always. Great things came from that. We elected our new president, and many of us were appointed to different positions. So I'd like to congratulate Terry Marecki for being appointed to the Transportation Committee. Commissioner Baker McCormick was voted Vice President of the Women of NACO. So we're excited about her leadership there. Commissioner Dobb is a member of the Committee on Environment, Energy, and Land Use. Commissioner Kinlock was appointed Vice Chair of the Finance, Pension, and Intergovernmental Affairs Steering Committee. And we are all appointed to the Large Urban County Caucus. We're all appointed members of that, with Commissioner Kinlock being appointed as one of the vice chairs, and I was appointed vice chair of the Public Safety Committee. So Wayne County continues to lead at the national level. It was a great conference, and the next conference will be the Legislative Conference in DC, and that is February 10th through the 13th. And I also want to say we had a surprise conference attendee, and I think it was so very important that he was there. For the first time ever, a Wayne County executive, Mr. Warren Evans, attended the national conference. None of our prior executives had ever attended, so I think that speaks volume about the importance of Wayne County's role in the national conference and what we're doing at the national level. So I want to thank him and his team who attended that conference. It was great to see him, and I know they got a lot out of it because there's so many things that we learn that we bring back to this county. So we're not recreating the wheel with a lot of things. The information is the information is dire need that we bring back, such as the Stepping Up initiative. And there's so many other things that we're working on that we'll be able to implement based on our attendance at that conference. So I want to give those shout outs to the leadership here, and of course, invite all commissioners to participate if you're not already doing so. Any remarks by members? Oh, a list of them. I'll start at the top. Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydoun.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if Patrick Cullen is still here. I don't see him. I had a question, maybe somebody from the Parks Division. I just wanted a quick update on the Fishway project in Dearborn. Anybody here from, oh, okay, Alicia Bradford.
Good morning, Alicia Bradford, Parks Division Director, through the chair. Commissioner Baydoun, the Fishway project is coming to a close. We are looking at the growth of the vegetation that should be finalized, and we will be transitioning over to open that up probably by mid-September.
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Stay there, Ms. Bradford, since you are there. Why don't you announce the very important, exciting event going on this weekend?
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bell. This weekend is our 26th annual Wayne County Parks Jazz on the River at Elizabeth Park in the beautiful city of Trenton. That will be on August 5th and 6th, Saturday and Sunday. Our headliner on the 5th is Stanley Clark at 7 p.m. and on Sunday is Peter White at 7 p.m. as well. So we have a mix of local and international artists that will be there. We're expecting over 10,000 people over the 2 days. $5 cash fee admission for special event parking. But of course, the event is free. We'll have many food vendors and also clothing vendors there supporting our entrepreneurs around Wayne County. So please come out and enjoy yourselves. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And again, 26 years is a wonderful event. To be free, to have jazz on the water is absolutely beautiful. So thank you, Director Bradford, for all that you do to put that on. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Bradford, I just wanted to ask, or you're still here, if you could address a concern that was brought to me about would be Newburgh Lake and also the Nankin Mills Lake, the growth of the vegetation on top of the water and other issues. Is there something that is there a treatment that is done by the county to get that under control?
Through the chair, again, Alicia Bradford, Parks Division Director, DPS. Commissioner Anderson, yes. Nankin Lake was treated in our Great Lakes Restoration Initiative project, so that was recently treated. Newburgh is on our list to have it treated. We're waiting on the approved PO, but we do have that treated at least once a year for that vegetation and algae growth.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, I have a couple of other things. One thing, the CJC on the meetings, I missed it when we were going through the upcoming meetings, but the CJC meeting for today has been postponed. If there was anyone that did not get the notification already. Also, at our last full commission meeting, our representative handling the EDC, if you would come to the mic, I'd appreciate if you would give us an update. You had promised at the last meeting you'd be ready to give us an update today on the ARPA projects, which have been submitted that are under consideration for this last phase of the projects from the ARPA dollars. If you could give us that. And one of the things I'm really concerned about is that we have a lot of communities that have other sources of dollars that are being combined with what they hope to get from the county and the ARPA dollars that we now have in the general fund, that they may lose those other funds. And because this is going extremely long to see the other list of projects, I'm really concerned we're going to have communities that have lost that other source of funding or on the verge of it. Could you give us an update?
Nelson Sheikh, Director of Economic Development. Again, I appreciate the question and the concern. We are in the process of moving in the future of ARPA, right? And last time I told you guys I would give you an update in terms of where we're at in 3 weeks. Over the last 3 weeks, we have steadily made progress in our process. We're looking at it from a three-pronged approach. One is historically with, as you know, myself coming in, we've inherited batch one as well as a majority of batch two, making sure things are in order and appropriately put together, cleaning up process. As well as we move forward in the future in terms of the way that the funding has been allocated, making sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's. We're being very efficient and being very responsible in the way that we're moving towards our next round of dollars and making sure we're pragmatic. When it comes to the next round of projects, we're consistently and steadily receiving projects that are asking for dollars. Your point on communities that have other pools of dollars included as well is not lost on us. And we are continuously and steadily in making sure that we are in constant communication with those communities as well. We are absolutely dedicated to moving as quickly as possible. We're not slowing down. What we are doing is being responsible in the sense of making sure that the process is as pure as possible. So we're going to continuously make sure that we're updating all the commission and all of you all. I know that you all have communities that are part of those lists, which is why I appreciate your concern. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to discuss this with you at any given time, and continuously work through the process and continuously update you all in terms of where we're at as we're moving forward.
So can you assure us that there are communities that have other pots of money that they are committing to these projects they've submitted for the ARPA dollars, that can you assure us that you're monitoring those, that there are none that are in danger of expiring?
I can assure you that we are monitoring the situation, especially with communities that have other dollars in place. Part of our desire and our vision is within moving towards the future is making sure that we're looking at each project, individually. Thus, we have everything tracked in regards to which project has what dollars coming in and when it's expiring. So we are keeping a close, steady eye on that as we're moving through the process. Again, we're doing this as responsibly as possible. We want to make sure that we're doing this in the best way. Again, we're going to continuously update the commission in regards to everything that's happening. And when we are at a point where we can bring something to you and in front of you that's concrete of, hey, this is A, this is B, this is C, we're going to make sure that we're going to be doing that. You guys know my approach as I've built relationships with each and every one of you, if not all of you. What I like to do, I'm very transparent. I like to communicate. You guys all have my number. Feel free to pick up the phone and call me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
To that point,
Commissioner Baker McCormick.
You indicated that there are still projects coming in. I guess at what point are we cutting projects off or limiting the number because I know early on we had like 230 projects. So is there a method to that or?
There is a plan at one point to halt that. We don't plan on accepting projects forever. Once we get to the point where we can give you guys a definitive answer on when that closes, we will let you all know so that way you guys can share that with your communities.
And are you communicating with the communities that have already submitted and they're just kind of waiting for a response? How often are you?
We are communicating with our communities. Most of the time, as you see, the communities will reach out to us. And we are absolutely making sure that we're responsive and that we are approachable and that we are readily available to answer any questions that are coming in from any of these communities.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And the director and I had a meeting yesterday on this very topic. And once they are clearer on the vision moving forward, we'll have a CAL so that they can deliver that message to us. But things right now are still pretty fluid. Is that a good way of saying it?
That is correct.
And so once they get it less fluid, we'll have a meeting to discuss where we're going in the future with the ARPA dollars.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioners.
Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Yes, just wanted to continue. I think it's still. Okay, I had a question for Director Kandrevis about the Redford log jam.
Michelle Yancey, Wayne County DPS. I can take your question and, excuse me, get a response to you as soon as possible.
Looks like you've been on vacation.
I have.
Anyway, the Redford log jam.
Mm-hmm.
We've been going back and forth and we were supposed to meet at some point to figure out what we're gonna do, if we're gonna do anything. Do you know the status of that? I know, like I said, this has been about 6 months. We've been going back and forth.
Sorry to hear that, but no, I don't have any information on that. I can take your concern and question back to Mr. Kandrevis and get a response to you.
Okay, great. Or Ms. Allen, would you have any input? Do you know anything more? Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And then I did have a question in reference to the incident at the county jail. The unfortunate incident. Is there anyone to talk to the issue of the young man that passed away? I haven't heard an update or any additional information on that.
Through the chair, Eddie Ficori, Assistant County Exec. The best way to address that, if you could direct your question to myself, I'll make sure that there's no one from the administration here today that would be able to answer that question, but I'll make sure to get it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make
Thank
sure
you.
to
I
get
just
that answer
wanted
back
to-
to you.
Get some background.
Sure.
I've gotten a couple calls about.
We'll try to coordinate a call or a conversation with you as appropriate.
I'm sorry, Sue Homer, Deputy Corporation Counsel. Actually, those questions should be directed to the Sheriff's Office and through their General Counsel, David Melton.
David.
Melton.
Thank you.
And the last thing, I just want to let everyone know that the applications for the Wayne County Commission Youth Council is now open, the process until September 15th. So anyone that has a young person that's interested in government and understanding the processes and the commission and having a voice in their community, please reach out to myself or any of the commissioners. The application process is now open for 10th through 12th.